Welcome back to Worth the Effort Woodworking. Now, I don't think this will come with a big shock to a lot of y'all that us woodworkers, we like our tools, we like our gizmos. We will set up router tables to accomplish specific tasks, buy jigs for a table saw to do joinery, buy specialty planes that accomplish one thing very, very efficiently and perfectly. But for today's tip, I want to talk about sometimes that the fastest, smartest, most efficient way to get something done is to just pick up a dang chisel. I'm currently working on one of my Monday builds, and I'm just making a very simple dovetail doorstop. But one of the aspects is I have to put a groove down this section of the dovetail right here. Now, you could go to your router table, set up a straight cutting bit and cut it there. You could go to your table saw, swap out for a flat bottom blade, or actually just about any blade, and do it there. But that involves a little bit of setup, a lot of time, and maybe you have something else set up on those machines. So in this kind of situation, a lot of times it's just best to pick up a chisel and use its different bevels, its different flatnesses to get the job done. So I kind of started this before I thought about doing this video, so pardon me. What I've done is I've taken my pencil and I've kind of eyeballed a straight line, and then I set up my marking gauge to about that line so that I can get it perfectly parallel with this line, because I know that when I cut my dovetail, this is a perfect 90 degrees. So I'm going to get a very nice setup. Now, it's not entirely critical that this be dead center for this particular project. So to figure out the depth, I'm just going to pick any chisel I have. I'm picking this one because it's a little bit more than a third the width of the boards I'm going to be using for it. And what I'll come over here is I'm just going to set it in there and give it a whack. That right there created my other side of the depth, so I can use my marking gauge set that up right in that line, close it down, lock it down, and now I can mark out a parallel line the exact width. Now, you don't have to use this marking gauge if it's just going to be something for, you know, something that's going to be hidden. I'm doing that one because I want the marking gauge to sever the fibers on both sides. That way when I get a little bit rougher with a chisel, it's less likely it's going to flake out right there. And from here, I am quite literally just going to take the flat bevel of my tool, have it going in the direction I want the chisel to walk, and then I'm just going to chop my way down. Just lining up on one side. Right now, all I'm doing is lining this side of the chisel up with this line. I could care less about that one. That one's there just to break the fibers. And because every time I go down, the bevel is pushing the chisel this way, you can see it's starting to flake out. Just like that. Just got to walk my way down. And I can create this groove with just this chisel in about the time it would take me to set up the router table, set up my grooving plane, assuming you don't have one set up just for this all the time. And if you're just doing one of these, it just makes sense to just hammer it on out. There we go. Take the edge of my chisel, walk it back, make sure you're not going to cut yourself, and now I've established the sides of my groove all the way across. Now I want to start deepening this and get a little bit cleaner. So what the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my grain direction. Which way is it going? The grain is going this way. So if I'm pushing against it this way, I'm actually going with the grain. If I were to come back this way, coming this way, it would lift those fibers and I might get some splits. So everything you do especially with hand tools, it all comes down to reading the grain. So right now I'm going to turn my chisel so that the bevel is down, and once again just start at the other end and push off. Just push off. Though since those fibers are broken up, it's just going to track very easily. Just give it a nice push. There we go. And you can gradually pivot off of that bevel as you work your way down, and you will slowly get to the depth that you want. This is also one of those situations when you have a multi-function mallet. This time I'm just going to hold it by the head with my pinky right there so it just cradles it. I can come over here and practically carve it as if I was, carving a sculpture. Aim it so that the bevel is coming down, just give it some tapping, and then I lower the handle the farther down I go to control my depth. Fairly simple. Now the hard part is always these edges, because it's right here that it will tend to chip out quite a bit. So just drop your chisel in there, and then you can palm it. And from here on out, it's just a matter of going a little bit deeper each time, shaving your way down. What's nice is I haven't really left my workbench. It took me about the same amount of time as going over to the table saw, pulling out the router, or doing any other thing. And even if it took you 30 more seconds, it's kind of, you don't now have to put up all that other equipment. Right here, all I do is turn around, drop the tools back in, and go to the next step. For today's bonus, I want you to go check out Spoon Carving with Tom on YouTube. These past few weeks, he has really ramped up his game as far as production quality and that kind of stuff. He's a professional spoon carver, very well known out there. But what I like about it is these past episodes, he's really organizing his thoughts, his lessons, into something kind of like what I've been doing with the classroom series, in order to educate people from both the very beginner on up to maybe the intermediate stuff. He's going into some really good details in kind of a per class style episode. Really am liking it. Spoon Carving with Tom. I'll put a link down below.